I have to point out, Tammy knows a lot about art, and even though she had a template, she's the one that drew the fancy shapes. So it does when you get into fancier designs, it does help to have some artistic skill, and that's the main reason why I had her do it, because I couldn't do it. And the other comment I had is that for us to go with airbrushing was a last-minute decision. I know which website you're talking about, but I couldn't wait a week for the stuff to show up. So it was like, okay, we're gonna do it. Let me just go down the street, buy. I mean, I paid full price at Harbor Freight, which I never do. I always wait for the special.
You know the discount coupon in the table, did you know that?
Yeah, but it was the middle of the week. I didn't have a coupon, and I didn't want to wait at least a week for another coupon to go out, so I paid full price for this. Which
he's been having a nervous twitch ever since.
It's true.
Full price. Oh yeah, for Harbor Freight, are you kidding me? Then I ended up buying all sorts of paint. But it was it was a learning experience for a few days, because she'd never done it before. I never done it. So we tried different paints, and I actually have a whole bunch of the acrylic paints at home. And I thought, in theory you can use them, but then it turns into a big mess. And she's like, okay, no, you need to give me the nice stuff. So I ended up buying a whole bunch of paints. But I'm very happy with the result. But it was
great.
Yeah, it's a big learning experience for both of us. So anyway, I finished my book, and maybe I should have shown you the book, because this is that's the model from the book's cover, and I mean it's got a little bit of damage. Like this is paint that I got on it. It's not on the cover, but it's the same model. Let me see, what can I say? Maybe I should have written something down.
Well, he asked about the foam.
Right. This is the book that I wanted to write. A year ago, I said, wouldn't it be nice to write a book about how the design process, how do I go from an idea and go through all the trials and tribulations and trying out all sorts of different things, talk about the design, how to build it, and then talk about variations, how you can enhance it. And I actually started writing this book like last September, October. And it was like, okay, well, I want to talk about how I picked the airfoil, but I need to give some background on that. And I need to talk, I want to talk about the wing, but I really need to have some background on wing design. And one thing led to another, and that's how I ended up writing the other book, which I also brought. So that's basically what happened. I ended up writing this book, which is really all theory, because it had to come before the other book. So I got this done in January, and got a lot of great publicity on it. And then it was like, okay, now I can finally write what I really wanted to write. And the book is all about this model. And I start out just saying, okay, I want to do an original design, and I want something that is going to really challenge me, something that's going to be very different than anything else that's out there. So what are the goals that I need to have? And so the book talks about that, and I guess I can talk about that too. And then I just start building and building and building, which everybody I think here knows about me, all my crazy models that are going out to fly and crash very quickly. But I guess the goal was having a very generic design that was very easy to build, very inexpensive, that flew nicely, but the real goal was to have something that could be the basis of another design, or the reader's design. So that's why I know last fall I was building a tandem wing design, which I probably will get back to. But that just wasn't a good choice for this. You know, it had to be just a very conventional looking design. You know, high wing, just one wing, tail in the back, you know, motor in the front. I didn't want pusher or anything. Just real simple, but you know, very honest design that that if somebody starts mucking around with it, it will probably still fly well. So that was basically the main goal. Now, you know, having said that, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to base a book on this design, it better be a good one. And I went online. I mean, I spent a lot of time at RC Groups and some of these other. RC Groups has a very popular forum on scratch-built foam planes. And I've looked at most of the designs on there, and in the most part, I wasn't too impressed because most of those designs just take something that's already out there, they change something, and they say they have a new design. And just from reading the descriptions, I got the impression that they hadn't spent much time looking at the theory. You know, why is the plane like this? And it's like nowadays, the motors are so good, the batteries are so light that pretty much anything will fly. And you know, in fact, some of my earlier models were so bad they almost flew, just because the power systems are so good. So so the foam, it's a foam board, and I mean the whole airplane. I mean this is all in the book, but the whole airplane you can build it for like $4.50 or $4 if you know, depending how careful you are. And everything is out of one piece of foam board, which I go to Dollar Tree and pay $1. So I use alcohol and I take the paper off. So this is just plain, you know, the whole airplane looks like this. It's just plain white foam. It's the same stuff as Depran or Cellfoam 88 or XPS, which is extruded polystyrene. And it's great stuff. I mean, you can't get it any cheaper than that. And it's 30 inches by 20. So 30 inches is what determines the wingspan.
What do you have to do to get the paper off it?
There's two ways that people do it. I like to wet it with rubbing alcohol. And I'm not talking soaking, I mean just enough to get the paper wet. And then I have a big black garbage bag and I put it in there, and about half an hour later it just comes off. And given that it's alcohol, I take it out and in 15 minutes it's totally dry. A lot of people like to use water. I mean the problem with the alcohol is that you're paying for the alcohol, but it's also smell because it evaporates very quickly. A lot of people just take plain water and they'll put it like in a bathtub. But then when you're using plain water, you have to leave it overnight. So then you put it in there, you probably need to weigh it down, and then come back the next day and then it'll peel off. But then, you know, and then you have to wait longer for it to dry because it's water. So, but a lot of people prefer that. I've never done it. I like alcohol because it's quick.
Why didn't you leave the paper on it?
Well, with the paper, it's double the weight. And I'm not sure I get double the strength, because the strength of the foam is pretty good. I mean, in some cases, I wish I could leave the paper on only one side, but you really can't do that. So I consider leaving the paper on for some of the pieces. I'm not sure, you know, I don't think I needed to, so I didn't do it, but that's an option. But no, but the other thing, because I did build, come to think of it, some of my prototypes, I had the paper on, and the problem is that there's no strength to the paper. So you can build it, but if you have, I think I had like the motor or something glued onto it, and it just delaminates. You know, because the paper is multiple layers of paper, and there's no strength there. I mean, not really, you know. So that's also why I moved away from that. I mean, structurally, maybe I could have used it, but it was problematic. I mean, there's a lot of problems that I had to deal with, and that was one of them.